Both the Harris and Trump campaigns have events in 6 battleground states today, with polling showing razor-thin margins. Soledad O'Brien with Matter of Fact joins us now. Great to see you, Soledad. You and your team, you've been meeting with voters in those swing states. So what are the biggest issues that they're looking at when they're considering who to give their vote to?
Yeah, we've been camped out in the swing states. As we launched season 10 of Matter of Fact, we decided we would swing through the swing states and really get a sense of the issues that matter to those voters, because as you point out, razor thin. I mean, if you look at some of those swing states were won or lost by 13,000 votes, right, in a national election. That's tiny. So I think the issue that matters to everybody, if you do look at any polling, it says the economy, maybe first, second, and third is the economy, and the economy. But if you dive down a little bit deeper under the economy, kind of like a sub-issue, I would say, is cost of living. Because in the swing states, cost of living increases have been up to 82%. That includes, of course, cost of housing. But that is far more than in the non-swing states. So you can see how the issue of cost of living and the economy would be a bigger issue in those states. Affordable housing, rents have increased 50% in the swing states, a bigger increase than other states. And of course, we know that in the swing states, wages have stagnated. So I think all of those issues, while we all care about the economy, in the swing states, the conversation is a little bit different. And of course, those are kind of what I would call the sub-issues that they really care about. And I'm sure the voters there are very interested, as the candidates really put the pressure on in the swing states, of really hearing from the candidates. Okay, so what are you specifically going to do about those very things?
Now, in talking with voters, you found a shift toward nonpartisan and independent attitudes due to this intensifying polarization. What are the biggest frustrations you found in the battlegrounds with both parties?
Yeah, I think it's tenor and tone. So we talk to people, look at Nevada, for example, where nonpartisan voters as a bloc have become bigger than the Democrats or the Republicans. In fact, we talked to people who left the Democratic Party, who left the Republican Party to become nonpartisan voters because they just feel like the tone of the conversation is unpleasant. And they said, they want the candidates to earn their vote. The thing I think is really interesting has just been, if you look at the data around voter registration, it's up a lot, like 500,000 new voters have registered. If you look at early voting, big increase, 10% increase in early voting. But when you ask people, are you enthusiastic about this election, only 20% say yes. So that seems kind of contradictory to me. Now, I get it. You don't have to be particularly enthusiastic to go and vote. But it'll be really interesting to see if this sort of sense, and I think it's true, that this sense of a lack of enthusiasm is in part because of the tenor and the tone. Now, how that all influences who people vote for in the election will obviously be interesting to see.
It is expected to be a long night, November 5th. We may not know the results right away. So what, if any, legal challenges are election experts and historians expecting to see in the days, even the weeks following election night?
Yeah, they're not surprised by that at all. And I think also not surprised by misinformation and disinformation. We've talked to lots of election experts, and I'd say across the board, they've all said they're taking steps to make sure that the election is safe and it's accurate. But they say expect lawsuits, expect recounts, especially in those swing states. You shouldn't be surprised by that. And I think we as a populace believe, like, polls close and we should have the information 5 seconds later. And that's not really how it works, or even how it should work, and I think not how it will work on election night.
Just days left now. Soledad O'Brien with Matter of Fact, thanks so much for joining us today.
You bet. Thanks.